Well, I'm back after my 1 month holiday, and I was kind of looking forward to being here, but there's no one here. There's only like 2 people here. I've got a new lad who's just started work here. I haven't got a clue who he is. No one's introduced me, so that'll be interesting. So what I've got now this morning, first day back, I've got an X5, quite an oldish one, E70. Someone's changed the gear stick on it, and they said it doesn't go into neutral. Now, it looks like a used one, it wouldn't surprise me, so I'm hoping it's just a coding issue. Usually that's what it is, it's usually just a coding issue, isn't it? But it looks like they've done the job reasonably well. I mean, it's like, you know, it don't look like crap or nothing like that. It feels iffy, it feels like, because it's used, you know, it feels a bit iffy, but you know, it's working, isn't it? But we'll have to read fault codes. I bet how much you want to bet it with that. How much do you want to bet that's what it was? Let's put them back on and see. Again, police detective. Police detective. That's how it was when I came here. Right? Why you'd do that, I've no idea. But it don't seem to be affecting it though, does it? But you never know if it gets kind of jammed. Let's try and put it there now. I don't think that's going to cause it, is it? Here's the information, basically, essentially. They've put a new gear stick on, but it's from 2007, so what's to tell that it hasn't got the same problem as the old one? So when they say new, it doesn't mean it's new, it always means it's used. So that was problem number 1. New gear stick, new, wasn't new, so it basically had the same fault as the old one. So on to the next one, which was the handbrake system. BMW call it EMF, probably some German acronym for something, don't know what it is. Basically, it's a standalone unit, back of the E70. It's got a control unit built in, controlled by powertrain CAN bus, PT CAN. And the problem with this one, as you'll see, there's no wake-up signal from the CAS. And the CAS is the car access system computer. Every control unit on a BMW, on the older ones like this, they need a terminal 15 wake-up, and it's not just voltage. It's also a coded signal. So you can't just put your own 12 volts on there, it won't work like that. And it was missing. So let's dive into this because it was hell of a, let's say it was a surprise. Just typical, you know, how you wouldn't notice this massive problem what I'm going to show you now. Anyway, let's just check it out. Well, I thought this was going to be a bit of a diagnostic job, but as you can see, obviously that's the issue. I was going to check the terminal 15 CAS wake up, but you can clearly see that's something pretty bloody catastrophic's occurred, hasn't it? It's absolutely rotten to buggery that, so it needs a new harness, doesn't it? Well, so it's my first day back after my holiday. So someone's been probing that, they've left it open, it's all rotten. This brown and blue one, you can't quite see, but there's no rubber grommet, you can just see there. So that's just got water in it, that's dead, that's the CAS wake up. And then someone's very nicely done what I always tell people not to do, and they front probed the living shit out of that one there, that's the CAS wake up. So what I'm doing here, I'm back probing everything and checking. That's the CAN bus, probably a low or a high, I'm not quite sure which. That's probably the low. So CAN's okay in terms of the voltage. We've got a good ground, and we need to check the live, permanent live, terminal 30, that's okay. And this is the CAS wake up what's missing, or so the fault code tells us, and we're just going to check that. And as you can see, there's absolutely nothing there. So we need to look at that. A fantastic grommet. That's the handbrake system, I guess. That's the handbrake one, look at big chunky wires there. Should be a CAS wake up here. If you want to be a BMW mechanic, this is the shit I've put up with. Not always, but mostly. And probably the reason why this is full of water is these absolutely fantastically designed BMW special, absolutely amazing drains. This is a typical sort of thing that they do. They don't think, engineers, when they make stuff, that this pathetic flap is not going to be really fit for purpose in the real world. So I ripped them out, and hopefully that'll stop the panorama roof filling the trunk full of water again. So no messing around, I pulled the big massive main harness grommet out, that's feeding the harness down to the AMF module, and then it was a case of just opening the harness up with that fantastic repair what someone's done in the past. And when you see dodgy tape that's obviously non-original, you know for a fact when you see stuff like that, if you give it a tug, you're going to basically find a big fault with it. And there you are, absolutely rotten. So water had gone inside and it was corroding from the inside out. So there's our CAS wake up fault, now we just need to fix it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cut that wire now, because there's no point messing about. We need to kind of make a new harness for it, essentially. And what you need to do with stuff like this is, once you've cut it, you've got to keep pulling it back and cutting it until you find that the copper's clean. If it's blackened and it's not quite shiny, it's no good. You've still got resistance in it, and that's what I'm actually doing there, you see. I'm just messing about. And as you can see, we've got a good bit of voltage from cast wake up, and we're going to use that as our basis to make a new harness. Well, it looks like a dog's dinner, but we've got our cast wake up now. So basically what I've done is, it does look like a dog's dinner, but that's just life. Guy won't pay for it. And I'm really just trying to get it working. I can make it look pretty later. And what we're going to do, we're going to feed it back through here now, then we're going to put it onto the old EMF unit, and we're going to see if we've now got communication with it. If you're starting out in fault finding, biggest tip I can ever give you is dry fit stuff like this. Don't worry about how it looks, and just make sure it bloody works, because you don't want to be taping all that up now. And it took me half an hour to get that tape off. And don't forget, this job was caused by everything else. Guy knew that bloody car has been leaking water in for years probably. Didn't do anything about it because he has all his car polishing stuff in that area, so I know he knows. And then they come here, and then I've got to try and rectify the bloody thing. And I'm kind of 7 o'clock at night now. It looks a little bit rough, but as long as it's got comms, I'm not bothered, because I'll make it look nice and pretty and tidy it up much better later on. Well, fiddle my shiddle. We've now got communication with our EMF module. That's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? I could dance, I could cry. Right, let's try if it works, shall we? Seems to be working, doesn't it? Can you hear that? Happy, tomorrow we'll build it up. Well, I've dried the trunk out now somewhat, so I've made a new harness up. It looks pretty damn tasty, doesn't it? All we have to do now is just kind of get it through there and then build it up. So that's how it ended up. Just like that. Quite reasonable, I'd say. Looks a lot better than it did. I put plenty of silicone on there just to give it a bit of extra waterproofing. Yeah, pretty good. Compared to how it was, anyway. So, that was kind of the end of that job, and it was all bang on, and this was some time back, about a week ago, when I first come back, and guy's happy, he's got the car back. Now I'll have to make a part 2 for that video, because otherwise it's going to be too long, and it's currently about 5:30 at night and I need to get home. Part 2 is going to be, by the way, this job had more and more big problems with it. The engine wouldn't run right, it wouldn't idle right, there was no power, there was no boost, and there was lots of problems with DPF system and stuff like that. But it wasn't a block DPF, you might be surprised what it was. So part 2 is coming up. If you want to know how to check back pressure sensors for DPF systems, please make sure you watch that part 2 episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, because I'm doing the same video for TikTok, just switch your notifications on, and then when part 2 comes, you'll be happy to see that. Because this is the sort of stuff I get. Basically, they bring the car in, there was about 7 faults on the car in the end. And good old me, I got the thing boosting up quite nicely. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, keep sharing. I'm going to make as many videos as possible in this straight format. I hope you don't mind. I don't do widescreen format much, if at all, anymore, because purely and simply I've got 2 platforms now, and it's just easier to post to TikTok and YouTube using the same platform, same sort of orientation. So stay tuned for next time. You'll learn a bit about how to diagnose pressure sensors and stuff like that, and you'll see how we got this old ratty X5 back on the road.